Speaking of work ethic, one of the work ethicsy motherfuckers that I know of is Jerry Seinfeld, which again is one of his most admirable qualities to me. He has a new. I told you guys some time ago that he got some like big deal from Netflix to do. I think it was 2 comedy specials, and this was one of them, and also to have comedians in cars getting coffee on Netflix as well. And Jerry's just the man to me. Like, I like his like the way he thinks, his objectivity, which is something that I think I get from a lot of comics. His candidness, the thoughtful approach to things, and the work ethic is insane. I loved Seinfeld, the show, his other stand-ups, and this one was particularly dope because although it's just a good time in terms of jokes and stand-up, it's more of a behind the scenes, which I love shit like that. It's more of like a behind the scenes into like the process of what creates him. You know, like he speaks about his first bits that worked, and he performed them on the first stage that he performed at, where they worked, and speaks about his decision to go into stand-up comedy when he left home in Long Island, and he rented like a room somewhere, and he speaks about that, and just like physically sitting on the corner of like Fifth Avenue and something else, and he sat there in this show, or the stand-up like experience, I guess you could call it, because it's like stand-up plus like all this behind the scenes stuff that it cuts in and out from. And he says, this is the very spot that I was sitting in, X amount of years ago, before making the decision to do stand-up comedy. And I was kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, should I do it, should I not? And decided to go for it, and the rest is history. And he speaks a lot about his childhood and his parents and his sister. Not a lot, but he speaks about them and growing up in Long Island, and always kind of sort of feeling out of place, but not like in a bad way, but just like he wanted to be somewhere else, or wanted to be like, I think he said like where the funny is, but everything was just like very vanilla where he grew up. What else? I like that. I like his like he handwrites a lot, which I knew of him from other interviews, and he uses like the foolscap paper, like the yellow legal pad paper that Stephen Pressfield uses, by the way, to outline his stories. And he saves everything, and he saves them in like one of those accordion folders. And there's a particular scene where he's like sitting in the middle of a street and like lines the full street with all the like the sheets of paper that must have been like replicas or like fakes or photocopies or something, because if that was all my shit, like all my fucking 50 years worth of writing, I wouldn't put it like in the street on the floor. I would think like it would like fly away or something. But it was just dope just to see that wealth of effort in the visually, and just how like you could tell like in that moment when he's like sitting Indian style in like the middle of all that, like that's his happy place, and you can connect with that, and that was pretty dope. And also, I'm going to see him live in December with my wife towards the end of the year, so that's gonna be dope. It's gonna be at the Beacon Theater also, which is where we saw Jim Gaffigan, and we got decent seats, not as good as Gaffigan, but decent seats nonetheless. It's like orchestra, but more like towards the back of the theater. But I'll definitely, let you guys know how that